Hugo was originally called The Invention of Hugo Cabret, which is an altogether better title. It's more enigmatic. It got shortened down to Hugo as per the current Hollywood convention to make everything dumber. But that's the only thing I can say against Hugo. It's otherwise a beautiful motion picture from Martin Scorsese. It's actually within striking distance for me of being my favorite of his films of all time. It only has to get past maybe 2 or 3 other movies to get to the top of that list. That's how much I enjoyed it. Hugo is about the boy Hugo who lives in a train station in Paris in 1920, and he has found an automaton, a robot, that was left to him by his dead father. And he believes that if he can repair that robot, it will deliver him one last message from his father. The movie is completely run through with clockworks and train engines and steam. It's basically a steampunk wonderland. And every shot of this movie has the ability to make your jaw drop. You cannot believe what you are seeing as this thing is unfolding. It is absolutely gorgeous. Don't know how Scorsese got the money to make it, but I'm sure glad he did. This is the movie Tim Burton has been trying to make and failing for the last 20 years. In the course of trying to repair the automaton, Hugo becomes implicated in the life of Georges Méliès, one of the pioneers of cinema. And when this happens, the intentions of the film as a whole become clear. What we're basically getting here is Scorsese teaching us a film class about one of these godfathers of cinema, but he's doing it in a narrative film, which is altogether more amazing than if it was a documentary or some sort of TV special or something like that. Méliès is often crudely described as the inventor of special effects, but that doesn't even begin to apprehend the actual contribution that he's made to cinema. He's basically the architect of the cinema as we know it today. He was the guy who figured out that although a photographed image presents the illusion of reality, it's not reality, and because film is a plastic medium, that reality can be manipulated. He came to the cinema from the world of magic. He was an illusionist first, and he brings an illusionist's eye to the films that he made. So basically, he's the guy who figured out with the most energy, that in a film, you can create your own world and then tell a story in that world that has its own set of rules that do not necessarily have to be the rules of our world. So every movie we have today, to an extent, owes a debt to this guy, whether it's something that's ostensibly set in the real world like The Descendants, or something that is very clearly not, like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. They all owe a debt to Méliès, and it's that debt that Scorsese is paying off in this film. Hugo is in 3D, and unsurprisingly, Martin Scorsese has made what is probably one of the 3 or 4 best 3D movies of all time. I remain skeptical of 3D as a technology. When it's working really well, as it is in most of Hugo, it's basically unnoticeable. It's presenting the illusion of depth into the frame, which normal photographic film does anyway. What 3D can do that normal photographic film can't is it can also present the illusion of stuff coming out at you. But that's generally considered to be a 3D no-no because it takes you out of the movie. Scorsese nonetheless leans on that trick a few times in Hugo. A couple of times are just basically for comic effect, like he has Sacha Baron Cohen's head come out at you at one particular moment in the film, and it's very funny. But he also does it towards the end of the picture for 2 very simple shots, a boy looking at a man and a man looking back at that boy. But he projects those heads into the 3D space, into the theater in front of you, and because it comes at such an emotionally significant moment in the movie, it actually becomes quite beautiful. It's like a magic lantern show to see these people sort of looming, these ghosts of cinema past looming out of the screen at us in the movie theater. And it's that kind of feeling that I take away from Hugo. I think it's a beautiful dream that Scorsese has made basically about why he became a filmmaker. So for my Watch This Instead, I'm going to tell you why I became a filmmaker and why I became into movies. This is probably something you've already seen, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's called SPFX, The Making of The Empire Strikes Back. This was a television special that aired probably in late 1980, and this was long before DVD special features, so they hadn't really got the hang of how to do this sort of thing yet, but that's kind of to this program's benefit, because what it basically is kind of a documentary about the evolution of special effects from Georges Méliès through King Kong, Ray Harryhausen 2001, and to what was then the present day, The Empire Strikes Back, which remains probably one of the 2 or 3 best special effects movies ever made. It was the film in which I first saw Georges Méliès' movie, A Trip to the Moon, and along with I first saw the bone being thrown into the air in 2001 in this, not in 2001. I thought the jump cut was a mistake. So again, you've probably already seen this. It was unavailable commercially for decades, but it is fortunately now available on the Star Wars Blu-rays. See? You knew there was a reason you had to buy those. No!